No, when...
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Madhya Lila, chapter 18, entitled The Lord's Visit to Sri Vrindavan. Yanna madhyeya shravananukirtanad yat pravanad yat smaranad apikat kvachit svadopi sadhya svanaya kalpate kuta punaste bhagavan nudarshanat. To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog-eaters becomes immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. Prabhupada says, the purport, this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:33-6.
What book is that? Are you reading which book?
Every morning we read from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita.
I know that, but what's that book?
What book?
The book you're holding.
The Sri Chaitanya
I
Charitamrita.
see it's got a small.
We're doing our morning class.
Got it, yeah. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
I thought it was a preamble.
No preamble today.
No preamble.
Straight to the nectar. Etam mahima tomara tatashtalakshana svarupalakshane tumi brajendra nandana. These glories of yours are only marginal. Originally, you were the son of Maharaj Nanda. Say sabalokye prabhu parasara karila Krishna premi matsalokani jagarigela. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then bestowed his causeless mercy upon all the people there, and everyone became ecstatic with love of God. Finally, they all returned to their homes. Hey mata katadina akrure rahila Krishna nama prema diya loka nistarila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained for some days at Akrura Tirtha. He delivered everyone there simply by distributing the holy name of Krishna and ecstatic love for the Lord. Madhava Purira Shishya Saita Brahmana Maturara Gare Gare Karana Nimantrana. The Brahmana disciple of Madhavendra Puri went from house to house in Mathura and inspired other Brahmanas to invite Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to their homes. Maturara Yataloka Brahmana Sajana Bhattacharya Stane Ashi Kare Nimantrana. Thus all the respectable people of Mathura, headed by the Brahmanas, came to Balabhadra Bhattacharya and extended invitations to the Lord. Ekadina dasa bisa aise nimantrana Bhattacharya ekera matra karena grahana. In one day, 10 to 20 invitations were received, but Balabhadra Bhattacharya would only accept one of them. Avasara napaya loka nimantranadite sevipresare loka nimantrananite. Since everyone did not get an opportunity to offer invitations to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally, they requested the Sanadhiya Brahman to ask the Lord to accept their invitation. Kanya Kubja Dakshinatyara Vaidika Brahmana Dainya Kare Kare Mahaprabhura Nimantrana. The Brahmanas from different places such as Kanya Kubja and South India, who were all strict followers of Vedic religion, offered invitations to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great humility. Pratakale Akrure ashirandana kariya prabhure bhikshadena shalagrame samarpiya. In the morning they would come to Akrura Tirtha and cook food. After offering it to the Shalagram Shila, they offered it to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport: there are Brahmanas known as Panchagaura Brahmanas who come from 5 places in northern India. And there are Brahmanas known as Panchadakshinatya Brahmanas who come from 5 places in southern India. In northern India, the places are Kanyakubja, Saraswat, Gauda, Maithila and Utkala. In southern India, the places are Andhra, Karnataka, Gurjara, Dravida and Maharashtra. The Brahmanas from these places are considered to be very strict followers of Vedic principles, and they are accepted as pure Brahmanas. They strictly observe Vedic principles and are not polluted by tantric misdeeds. Of all of these Brahmanas respectfully invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for lunch. Ekadina se akrura gatera upare vase Mahaprabhu kichu karina vichare. One day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat at the bathing ghat of Akrura Tirtha and thought the following thoughts. E gati akrura vaikunta dekila Brajavasi loka goloka darshana kaila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought, at this bathing place, Akrura saw Vaikunta, the spiritual world, and all the inhabitants of Braja saw Goloka Vrindavan. Etabali janpadila jalera upare, dubiyara hila prabhu jalera bitare. While considering how Akrura remained within the water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately jumped in and stayed under water for some time. This chapter is probably about to finish. Oh no, it goes on a little more. It goes on a while longer. It includes the episode of the Pathan soldiers apprehending Mahaprabhu's associates and then subsequently becoming converted, and possibly, which is on their way to Prayag for Magha Purnim, the Magha Purnim celebrations, ancient celebrations of purification. Bathing in the waters of the Triveni at Magha Purnim, in the days running up to Magha Purnim and including Magha Purnim. However, this incident, when Mahaprabhu jumps in the water and stays underneath for some time, causes his companions, who are Balabhadra Bhattacharya and the Sanadiya Brahmana, to fear for his safety in Vrindavan because he's exhibiting too many ecstatic symptoms, and they're fearing for his safety because he loses all sense of control. So they're fearing for his physical safety. So they think they have to usher him out of Vrindavan. It's too out of control. And so they do so on the pretext of taking him to Prayag for Magha Purnim, suggesting, Magha Purnim and Prayag is a great time to visit. Anyway, we'll get there. Deki Krishna Dasa Kandi Pukara Karila Bhattacharya Sigra Ashi Prabhured Utaila. When Krishna Das, there's also Krishna Das, a Bengali, who joined them. Another Bengali. I believe he's another Bengali. But it doesn't say how or when he joined them. I don't recall that. Anyway. When Krishnadas saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was drowning, he cried and shouted very loudly. Balabhadra Bhattacharya immediately came and pulled the Lord out. Tabe Bhattacharya say, Brahmane lana yukti karila kikchune vasya. After this, Balabhadra Bhattacharya took the son of the Brahmana to a secluded place and consulted with him. Ajiyami achilana utailun prabhure vrindavane dubena yade ke utabitanre Balabhadra Bhattacharya said, since I was present today, it was possible for me to pull the Lord up. However, if he starts to drown at Vrindavan, who will help him? Lokera sangata aranimantranera janjala nirantara avesha prabhuda natya bala. Now there is a crowd of people here, and these invitations are causing much disturbance. In addition, the Lord is always ecstatic and emotional. I do not find the situation here very good. Vrindavana haite yari prabhure kadiye tabe mangala haya e bala yukti haye. It would be good if we could get Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu out of Vrindavan. That is my final conclusion. Viprakahe prayage prabhu lanayai gangatira pateyai tabe shukapai. The son of the Brahmana said, let us take him to Prayag and go along the banks of the Ganges. It will be very pleasurable to go that way. Shukapai. Ganga Tirapati Yai Tabe Shukapai. We'll get much happiness along the path that runs along the banks of the Ganges. Very picturesque back then, I'd imagine. After going to the holy Saro Ketre Ageyana Kare Ganga Snana Se Pati Prabhulana Kariye Payana. After going to the holy place named Soroketra and taking bath in the Ganges, let us take Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that way and go. Magha Masa Lagila Ebe Yadiyaye Makare Prayaga Snana Kata Dinapaye. It is now the beginning of the month of Magha. If we go to Prayag at this time, we shall have opportunity to bathe for a few days during Makara Sankranti. Makara Sankranti is famous for what? Makara Sankranti. Makara Sankranti. Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Makara Sankranti.
Where is that? Where is it?
Makara Sankranti is not a place, it's an event. It's an astronomical event. When the sun goes into the sign of Capricorn. Makara is the Sanskrit word for the sign of Capricorn. And Sankranti means to transit in, to enter. So when the sun transits into the sign of Capricorn, that's known as Makara Sankranti. Every month there's a solar Sankranti when the sun changes signs. So Makara Sankranti is when the sun enters Capricorn. And if you're making sidereal calculations, which means when the sun's movement is tracked based on stellar calculations, which is what the Vedic system does, then that's in mid-January every year. Around the 15th, 14th, 17th of January. At the moment. It does change over time, gradually. By about 0.7 of a degree every 100 years.
So
it's called the precession of the equinox.
All this amounts to a festival every single day in India, somewhere along the line.
Well, Makara Sankranti is once per year. But yes, it's in Magha, very early in our year, January. The month of Magha. Srila Prabhupada says, a Brahmana is famous. A Brahmana never fails to rise and take his bath in the river, even if it is very cold, in the month of Magha. Even in the month of Magha. I remember as a young boy on Padayatra in New Zealand, Brahmachari in ISKCON, Padayatra. And we would have to do that. We would have to rise in the morning, take our bath in a river or something, in the South Island of New Zealand. Cold.
You'd have to go down to the river,
yeah.
Even in the building.
Yeah, or maybe we'd have a bucket or some contraption, but very austere, an outdoor setup with cold water, no hot water. And we had this guy with us, a friend of mine, still a friend of mine, And as we were doing this, he would always be like, even in the month of Magha. We're like, shut up. Even in the month of Magha. In Prabhupada's voice, right? Brahmana will take his bath early in the morning, even in the month of Magha. So Mahaprabhu stayed in Vrindavan for several months because we hear of him also in this chapter. This chapter covers several months of him rediscovering Radhakund, Bahulastami. Krishna, which is Krishna Astami in Kartik Masa, Kartik month, known as Damodar month as well. So the 8th day of the month of Damodar, if it's calculated from the Purnima. So that is a couple of months before Magha, isn't it? Several months. You have the month of Kartik. Month of Mrigashira, Margashira. Then what? The month of Bosha. And then the month of Magha. So 4 months or so in Vrindavan. Maybe longer. Prabhupada says this in his purport. Bathing during the month of Magha at Magha Mela still takes place. This has been a very old Mela from time immemorial. It is said that the Lord in the form of Mohini took a bucket of nectar and kept it at Prayag. Consequently, Magha Mela has been observed and there is an assembly of holy men there every year. Every 12th year there is a Kumbh Mela, a great festival, and all the holy men from all over India assemble there. The Brahmana wanted to take advantage of the Magha Mela and bathe there. Bathing at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna, near the fort at Allahabad, Prayag, is mentioned in the revealed scriptures. Maghi masi gamisyanti ganga yamuna sangamam gavam sata sahasrasya samyag gatam chayatphalam prayage magamasya vai triyaham snatasya tatphalam. If one goes to Prayag and bathes at the confluence of the Ganges and the Yamuna in the month of Magha, he attains the result of giving hundreds and thousands of cows in charity, simply by bathing for 3 days there. He attains the results of such pious activity. Because of this, the Sanatiya Brahmana was very eager to go to Prayag and bathe. Generally, karmis, fruitive labourers, take advantage of bathing there during the month of Magha, thinking that they will be rewarded in the future. Those who are situated in devotional service do not very strictly follow this karma kandiya process. Apanara dukkha kichu karini vedana makara panchasi prayage kariha suchana. The Sanatiya Brahmana continued, kindly submit to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the unhappiness you are feeling within yourself. Then propose that we all go to Prayag on the full moon day of the month of Magha. Gangatira pate sukha janaiya tanre bhattacharya asetabe kahila prabhure. Tell the Lord of the happiness you will feel in travelling via the banks of the Ganges. Balabhadra Bhattacharya therefore submitted this prayer to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sahite na pariyami lokera gadabadi nimantrana lagi lokakari huda hudi. Balabhadra Bhattacharya told the Lord, I can no longer tolerate the disturbance of the crowd. People are coming one after another to offer invitations. Pratakale aishiloka tamare no paya tomare na panaloka moda matakaya. Early in the morning people come here, and not seeing you present, they simply tax my brain. Moda matakaya, tax my brain. Tabe sukha haya yabe ganga patiyaye ebe yadi yai makare ganga snanapaye. I'll be very happy if we all leave and take the path by the banks of the Ganges. Then we can have the opportunity to bathe in the Ganges in Prayag during Makara Sankranti. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakti Vrinda. Makara Sankranti is also famous. Makara Sankranti, there's many events that happen on Makara Sankranti because it's also not just the sun's entry into Makara, Capricorn, but it is the beginning of what is known as Uttarayana, which is the sun's journey north. Or as modern astronomers will tell you, the sun's apparent journey north. So, when the sun reaches its most southerly declination, southerly point, midsummer, down under in the southern hemisphere, midwinter in the northern hemisphere, that's Makara Sankranti. And then it begins its journey north. So, there's a lot of significance based on the movements of the sun when it reaches these points. It's only two, Makara Sankranti and then Karaka Sankranti, which is midsummer here, midwinter in the southern hemisphere. So Makara Sankranti is considered the end of a period of when the sun is travelling south, which is considered the Vama. And the left, or the negative half of the yearly solar journey, and the beginning of the right-handed path of the sun, Dakshina. It's a little confusing because when the sun is travelling south, it's called Dakshinayana. It's the left-handed path, Vama. And when it's travelling north, it's called Uttarayana, which is Dakshina, meaning right-handed.
Does your average Indian know all this?
No.
Only the Jyotish?
Not your average Indian. You'll have to have studied a little bit of Jyotisha. That's why I said when you pass away, it should be during Uttarayana, the sun's journey north. During the day, this is said in the Gita. The Gita says this, that if a person passes during the daytime, when the sun is travelling north and the moon is waxing, then they won't reincarnate.
They won't?
No. That's when the basic premise to it is that when the solar energy is predominant, the sun causes the soul to rise and go to other places, whereas the moon is very bonded to the earth.
Are you going to try and do that?
No.
No?
Because it doesn't really apply so much anymore in Kali Yuga. These things don't have so much significance. Particularly for devotees. Maybe if someone is practicing some kind of yoga path, Astanga yoga or Kriya yoga or something, they might be concerned with this. But I'd imagine it would cause undue stress, like trying to pass away during certain times. And what if you miss it? You have to come back. But the idea being that if you pass away during a time when the lunar influence is predominant, because the moon is attached to the earth, and was the water element. It flows down, water always flows down, whereas fire always rises up. So if you pass away during the time of the sun, which is fire, then the soul rises up and goes away. Whereas it's during the time of the moon, of the water, then it flows back down to earth. So the southern journey of the sun, even though it's a journey of the sun, it's the lunar phase of the sun's journey. And when the cycle of the moon is waxing, even though it's the cycle of the moon, it's the solar part of the moon's cycle. So the solar part of the sun's cycle, the solar part of the moon's cycle, and the daytime, which is of course ruled by the sun, the nighttime is ruled by the moon. So all those things are times of solar predominance. So the idea is that if you pass at that time, The heat, the sun will cause the soul to go to other places.
The Prabhupada seems he's at pains to, the picture in Bhagavad Gita of the yogi raising the Kundalini to the top, and then he says you can push it out at the top of the so and go to any planet he chooses. He describes that quite accurately, doesn't he?
Well, I don't know if he uses that terminology. He simply says that yogis by mystic power can travel to, can perform interplanetary travel. Easy journey to other planets. I think all of that stuff appealed to the hippie audience, didn't it? I mean, it's not strictly Gaudiya Vaishnava Bhakti, the yogi sitting there with his soul bursting out through the Sahasrara chakra, heading off to the moon. But
so why did he describe that?
Probably for preaching purposes, I'd imagine. But also it was a time, he wrote it at a time when there was a lot of news and hype around the Americans going to the moon.
1959 was, Easy Journey to Other Planets.
Was it?
Yeah.
59?
59,
Yeah, so he wrote it before he came west then.
Yeah, because the first...
it was one of the very first, probably the very first.
The first Russian Sputnik was, I think, in 1959.
Okay.
And he mentions it.
So he's simply he's making a point that they're endeavouring so hard with technology to go somewhere. And he's saying this has been around for a long time. You can go anywhere you like through yogic practice. So simply establishing the superiority of inner or Vedic thought and practice over modern thought and practice, over modern technology and the psychological underpinnings, or you could say the inner drives that are fueling technological development, as opposed to those which are present in Vedic culture. There's many for preaching.
We're still doing it now, aren't they? India's just shot one up to the moon now. So
they say. We'll read a little bit from Revealed Truth by Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Vinodeva Swami Maharaj. Where were we yesterday? I'm coming towards the end of this chapter. So Gurudev is talking about the proper definition of mukti, liberation. He talks about the 5 types of liberation, which are sarupya, salokya, samipya, shashti, and sayujya. And sayujya is merging into the oneness of the Brahmajyoti, the light of God. So it's not desirable to devotees. The others are desirable to different levels of devotees, but the exclusive devotee doesn't desire any kind of liberation, as we know. Whether it be Shasti, which is having the same opulence as the Lord, Samipya, living near the Lord, Salokya, the same planet. What is it? The other one. Sarupya, having a form that resembles that of Narayan. Inconceivable manifestations. In this way we can understand the conception of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teaching of Achintya Beda Abeda Siddhanta. Tad binam samscha jivan prakritika vilitan tad vikum vimuktam chabhavat Beda Beda prakasham sakalam apihare sadharam Shuddha Bhaktim. When the Jiva soul, that's from Dasmula Tattva Niryasa. When the Jiva souls are Prakriti Kavilitan, Covered by illusory matter, they live apart from the Lord. And when the jiva souls are vimuktam shabhavat, liberated through their devotional mood, the improvement of their consciousness, they play within the Lord's divine abode. By the Lord's will, the transcendental environment and the illusory environment exist side by side as His manifestations, and the jiva souls live within these environments. Only a very few jiva souls temporarily exist within the illusory environment, and gradually all jiva souls come to exist within the transcendental environment of divine attraction to the Lord. In this way, you can see everything in perfect harmony as achintya beda abeda prakash, an inconceivably different and non-different manifestation of the Supreme Lord. That's the end of that chapter. Tomorrow we start a chapter called Pure Devotion. There's Das Mula Tattva on the topic, concerning the theme of Truth 9, Das Mula Tattva, Sadhanam Shuddha Bhaktim, the path of pure devotion. Sadhana, the practice of pure devotion, as it says here, pure devotion is the way. Jai Srila Gurudev, Jai Sri Gauranga. Hari Paraya. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Sunda Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki
Jai.
Jai Vishnu Bhajala Bhakti Rakab Sri Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Vamshila Bhakti Saranda Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Jai Rupam Guru Bharat ki Jai Jai Bhakti Ranga Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai
Jai.
Vedi Vaishnava Mandala ki Jai
Jai.
Vrinda ki Jai Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat ki Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat West London ki Jai
Jai.
Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai Nidai Go